Hi everyone, welcome to the fifth in the series of bite-sized webinars from Companies House. This is the fifth short webinar to help you understand how to manage and run your limited company. We've called them Becoming a Better Director. My name is Gary Townley and I'm part of the communications team here at Companies House. I'll be doing a bit of housekeeping in just a moment. So while we give people time to join, let me explain the content and the purpose of these webinars. Over the past few weeks, we've presented a series of 4 bite-sized webinars. They only last around 20 minutes long, so they don't take up too much of your day. In this series, we looked at the tasks that will be important for a director to know. These have included the director's responsibilities and registering for an online account, how to file online and what can be filed online. We then joined up with colleagues from the Insolvency Service and then the Intellectual Property Office to provide an overview of their services. And today we're going to round that up with some of the most frequently asked questions that we've had over the past few weeks, but also we've been joined today by the Business Support Helpline, who will be talking to us about the most common types of inquiries that they also receive. So that's going to be a good overview this morning. In addition to me, there's a team of Companies House and Business Support Helpline experts in the background waiting for your questions. So if you have any questions about today's webinar or any about the last webinars or about starting and running a company, director's duties, then this is your opportunity to get first-hand advice from the experts. Now, feel free to send in your questions to us throughout the presentation, and I'll explain how to do that in just a moment. Now, we can only answer general questions and we can't go into specific cases. So just make sure that your questions are of a general nature. You will notice there are a couple of handouts that you can download, and I'll explain where they are in a moment. So if you are new to GoToWebinar, I'll just take you through the look of the screen. In front of you, you will see the presentation slides, and in the corner, you will see there is a small tool panel. Now, if you'd like to ask a question, you'll see on the tool panel there is a question box. Now, to make this bigger, simply click on the icon that looks like an arrow coming out of the box. It's on the sort of the right-hand side. You can then type your question into that box and one of our experts will answer that for you. Now, if you are watching on a smartphone or a tablet, you can ask questions by using the question mark symbol on your screen. Now, let's get you familiar with that. So before we get going, let's see if that works. Now, during lockdown, a lot of us have been binge watching. I've been binge watching myself. So if you can say what you've been watching recently, apart from our webinars, of course. Now, most recently, I've been just finished watching Lock and Key on Netflix. So it's quite a good series, 10 episodes of that. So I've just finished watching that. So if you've got any recommendations for me, let's just give it a few moments while you get used to using the question box. Now, before anyone asks, we often get questions about this. You will be getting a link to a copy of the presentation sent to you once we're done. We often get requests asking to be sent, or where can we see the earlier webinars, etc. But this usually goes out in about 24 hours time. So you can watch again in your own good time with no interruptions, with adverts about mattresses or vacuum cleaners. So that's there for you. So I can see those questions coming in now, so that's great. I think most people have now joined us, so let's have a look at today's agenda. So in this session, we'll be covering the common questions that we have had over the last 4 webinars. But to start with, we're going to be looking at the common questions that are received by the Business Support Helpline. Remember, if you have any questions, more questions about as we go along, please pop those in the question box as we go along. So without further ado, I'm going to quickly start off today's proceedings by handing over to Stephanie and Claire from the Business Support Helpline to start today's proceedings. So good morning, both.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks, Gary. So as Gary mentioned, my name is Stephanie Kirkwood and I'm here with my colleague Claire.
Good morning.
Yeah, we're both part of a team of dedicated business support advisors at the Business Support Helpline. So the next slide is just a little bit about who we are and what we do. So the Business Support Helpline is the government provision for free business support. We provide a signposting service offering guidance regardless of what stage you're at in your business journey, whether you're starting out, trading, looking to grow, or maybe searching for support for an area of the business not developing as planned. Today we are going to guide you through some of the common questions we often get asked by new directors. We have prepared a handout providing a list of resources that we will be referring to throughout today's session, and as Gary explained, this can be downloaded from the tool panel. We also have a number of colleagues on hand during the webinar to answer any questions that you have as well, so I keep them busy. So I'm going to hand over to Claire now with our first frequently asked question.
So one of the most common questions from new directors we speak to on the helpline is whether they are doing everything right in terms of complying with any licensing and regularity requirements. As each business is different rules do apply, and therefore our advisors would need to find out a bit more about your business so we can tailor the support and solutions that's right for you. Licenses are required for certain business activities. A few examples include playing music, selling food, and street trading. Licenses are issued through your local authority, and bylaws can apply to certain areas, so it's always worth contacting the licensing department of your local authority to determine whether any specific licenses do apply. There's a license finder tool on the government's website that will be included on the handout, and it helps you identify if or what licenses may apply to any activities that you carry out within your business. Insurance, we get asked about insurance quite a lot. Again, the type of insurance you require will depend on the activities the business is undertaking. There are two types of insurance that are required by law. Employer's liability, if you intend to employ staff, and vehicle insurance. This is mandatory if you're using a vehicle for business use, and you must update your motor insurance to reflect this. There are other main key insurances that your business may take out, and these include public liability, which covers you for damages and legal costs when a member of the public dies, is injured, or suffers damage to their property when you are found to be responsible. Product liability, this is protection against claims if the public gets hurt because of your product. Professional indemnity for businesses that give professional advice, deliver training, offer a professional service, or handle data or intellectual property belonging to a client or a business. It would cover you against any claims from people who think they've been badly advised. The other insurances that you may wish to consider include building and contents, business interruption, cyber liability, and intellectual property insurance. At the Business Support Helpline, we can talk directors through any suitable insurances that you may need to consider, and we can also offer tools to identify insurance providers.
When selling online, you must comply with rules around the information that you provide a customer before and after an order is placed, their cancellation rights, and your returns policy. Business Companion is a brilliant website. It's trading standards explained for businesses, and they offer guidance around your obligations and how to comply. Also, in some instances, depending on where you're based, you might be able to get additional guidance via your local trading standards department. So again, this is something that our advisors can explore for you on your behalf. If you're importing or exporting or planning to do so, you might be liable to pay tax and duty charges. Certain goods may require a certificate or a license as well. So the Business Helpline, our advisors can talk you through the steps required and the support available to help you comply with this side of things as well. And the final rules around data protection, and this applies if your business stores or uses anybody's personal information, so names, addresses, telephone numbers, anything that can identify them. You may have a requirement, depending on the nature of the information that you store, to register with the Information Commissioner's Office. There is a virtual tool on the ICO website and again on our handout, and that helps you identify whether registration with this service is required. Essentially, with GDPR, you must make sure any information is kept secure, accurate, and up to date.
So another frequently asked question here at the helpline is, what are the main considerations when employing staff for the first time? You'll need to decide how much you'll pay someone, and employees must be paid at least the national minimum wage. Check that they have the legal right to work in the UK. Obtain employer's liability insurance, as previously mentioned. Check whether you need to register as an employer with HMRC. Provide the employee with a written statement of employment when employing someone for more than 1 month. Consider whether your staff require a DBS check to carry out their role. And you need to understand your responsibilities around automatic enrolment in a workplace pension scheme. You'll find some really useful information on the ACAS website, including a range of templates and an opportunity to speak with dedicated advisors via a helpline. There's also subcontracting that you would need to consider if you're looking to hire a freelancer, consultant, or a contractor. Instead of actually employing, you're looking to subcontract. There's a few things you need to consider around that. If they are self-employed or part of their another company, if they often look after their own tax and national insurance contributions, they're usually not entitled to the same rights as workers, for example, the minimum wage, but you are still responsible for their health and safety. Separate rules apply for those in the construction industry, and you must register for the construction industry scheme before you take on your first subcontractor. Again, the Business Support Helpline, we can direct you to any guidance on employing staff and subcontracting.
Finding the right support and finance is the key to both startup and business growth, and is a topic we cover on a very regular basis. From identifying mentors to helping businesses prepare a solid business plan to signposting to import specialists, we can look at all the government-backed schemes to help you get the support that you need. A great form of local support includes growth hubs. They offer mentoring, workshops, training and finance schemes to help local businesses develop and grow. Each growth hub offers a different service, so it very much depends on where your business is based, the stage that you're at and what sector you operate in, but it is something that, again, we can explore for you and advise you of. We can also look at applicable finance options, such as potential grants, loans and investment opportunities, a lot of which are criteria driven. So as an advisor, we'll ask questions around your business and growth plans so we can determine the relevant options for you. The Startup Loans Scheme is a national scheme, and you can apply for up to £25,000 if you're starting out or looking to scale up. So if you've been registered for or trading for less than 2 years, so that's a national option. But a majority of finance options and support is locally based. So we'd look in your local area for all the relevant options for you.
So do I have legal protection over the name I have registered with Companies House? Registering a company with Companies House does not give legal protection over a company name. It merely prevents someone else registering this exact name as a company. To ensure no one else can trade under this name, you may want to consider a trademark, which is a form of intellectual property. As with anything, you need to balance the costs of applying to register your name as a trademark and then renewing it every 10 years against the advantages of registration. A trademark application can be made to suit your business needs and can be anything that sets you apart from your competitors, including a name, a logo, a slogan, or a domain name.
So we hope you found this part of the webinar useful, and we've answered some of the questions that you as new directors have. As mentioned at the start of our presentation, the helpline is a free service, and our experienced advisors can save you valuable time in finding the right resources to help you plan for the success of your business. All of our members of our team have a wealth of business knowledge, and the information that we provide is like I say, free and completely tailor-made for you. So thank you for your participation, and please do contact us on any of these methods with any further support that we can help you with.
That was brilliant. Thank you, Bev. You covered really a lot of ground there. So I'm sure people have got lots of questions to ask. So keep those questions coming in via the question box. Just for yourself, how many sort of calls do you get during a normal day?
That's a good question, actually. I would say over the past financial year, we've dealt with around about 240 inbound queries a day. So that's across telephone, web chat, email, and social media. And they've ranged the questions from starting up, finance, growing the business. So about 240 a month. Sorry, a day. Sorry, a day. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. So I'm sure there's people out with more questions for you. So you're going to be there in the background now answering questions. So keep those questions coming in. Thank you very much. Okay, now we're going to look at some of the most common questions that we've had during this webinar series. So in the first bite-sized webinar, we covered directors' responsibilities and how to register for an online account. And then we also looked at some of the digital tools and services. So here's some of the questions that you asked. And I'm hopefully now going to be joined by my colleague Esme, who's going to help me to answer them. So are you there, Esme?
Good morning, Gary. Yes, I'm here.
Brilliant. Okay,
Ready?
so great. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the questions we have come in. Okay, so the first sort of question we had was about the relationship between the responsibilities of a director of the company and a secretary, and what sort of other legal responsibilities do directors have besides filing their accounts and other information. So do you just want to sort of elaborate on that a bit, please, Esme?
Yeah, sure. So a company secretary is an officer of the company. They take on specific responsibilities and duties. So that could be filing on behalf of the company. But there is no obligation for a private limited company to appoint a company secretary. It is optional. A company secretary can also be a director, so you can carry out both of those roles. Ultimately, though, it's the director or directors who take legal responsibility for the company. So this is something we briefly discussed in terms of the main duties of a director in the first webinar in this series. So you can watch that again from our library or on our YouTube channel. And we also had a question, I think, Gary, around where you can get training to be a company secretary. And the best place for that is to look at the ICSA website or the ICSA website, and that should give you some useful information on being a company secretary.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. I think this question 2, and this sort of covers a bit of the first one, is what are the Companies Act expectations of a director's duties? I think I'll take this one. So a director must act within the powers under the company's constitution. The most important part of the company's constitution are the articles of association. A company director must promote the success of the company, exercise independent judgment. Directors are meant to develop their own informed view on the company's activities. They've got to exercise reasonable skill and care and diligence in their role. Obviously avoid or manage conflicts of interest, which may affect their objectivity. And we're actually on our website, we've got a really good blog, which has been written by the Institute of Directors, which cover all the 7 duties of a company director in detail. So again, pop to our website and have a look at that blog by the Institute of Directors. So that's worth a good read. Okay, question 3 then was all about having a third party acting on your behalf. So agents such as accountants and solicitors, can they access the director's toolkit? As an agent, how do I log into a new client's company's house account? And can I log in with my company's email and then access my client's company details? So, Esme, do you want to quickly answer that one?
Yes, thanks, Gary. I think there's a few things in there, but just to start with, anyone can access our Directors Toolkit, available via the webinar handout today and on our website. And that's there to help directors understand their legal duties and responsibilities. So there's loads of useful information and tips, and a link to our new online learning tool as well, which takes you through the different stages and the things you need to know. To file on behalf of a company, you do use your own email login and password, and you would set that up when you register for an online account, but you'll need to use the unique authentication code for your company, or for the company you're filing on behalf of. So there's only one authentication code for that company. And obviously, whoever you give that code to, who's filing on your behalf, if they then leave or you appoint or change your accountant, for example, you'll probably want to change your auth code. And I think we covered that in webinar 2, so you can go back and have a look at that.
Brilliant, thank you, Esme. Okay, another question that we had in then was about the filing dates. Do you file from the date when the company was registered or when it actually starts to trade? And that's a quick answer: is all your dates will run from the date of incorporation. And just a reminder that even if you're not trading or you're dormant, you still need to make annual filings. So remember, if you're dormant or not trading, those annual filings still have to come in. Question 5, then the last one on webinar 1, was about community interest companies, actually, and was one about can you advise how best to start a community interest company? So, Ez, do you want to quickly cover that one?
Yeah, sure. And I know there's been a big rise actually in community interest companies this year. So it's a good question. And our colleagues actually in the Office of the Regulator for Community Interest Companies recently presented a webinar on exactly this topic. So how to incorporate a community interest company, and also if you want to change from being a private limited company to a community interest company, they cover that in that webinar too. So there's a link to that in the webinar handout today, and you can watch that again for more information at your leisure.
Brilliant, thank you. So that was webinar 1. In the second, then, we covered what can be filed online and how to file online. And then we also touched on our follow and proof services. So let's look at a couple of questions that we had from webinar 2. So the first one there is about standard industrial classification codes. So how many times in a year can a company change or alter its SIC codes? So Ez, do you want to quickly cover that one?
Yeah, sure. So the Standard Industrial Classification Code, or the SIC or the SIC code, it's got various different names, is an indication of the type of industry that your company is working in. So it's not likely to change too often once you're set up and registered, but you can have up to 4 different codes registered to describe your company's activities. Obviously, if your SIC code is wrong or you do want to update it, you can either wait until your confirmation statement is due with Companies House and change it then, or you can file an early confirmation statement at any point throughout the year just to update that bit of information. And you would just simply enter the new code or codes. As I said, you can have up to 4, and you'd put that in the relevant section on the confirmation statement. And then that will update for you. And there's a full list of the SIC codes and what their corresponding descriptions are on our website. So head over there to have a look at that.
Brilliant, thanks, Az. Okay, question 2 then on webinar 2 was about filing annual accounts, and there's lots of people asking whether they have a step-by-step class or a clear demo of the process of filing accounts with screenshots, etc. And I would suggest there that a great place to start would be our YouTube channel, because on our YouTube channel you'll find a full set of how-to videos showing you how to file accounts. These will include micro-entity accounts, abridged accounts, dormant accounts, and full accounts. So they're there for you to watch out. And also, referring back to the last question about confirmation statement, there's also a YouTube video showing you how to actually file your confirmation statement as well. So that's a really good place to start if you're looking for that sort of information. Now, question 3, a few people asked about the sort of terms we use on Companies House. So can we have a webinar on the terms used in Companies House, such as strike off and gazette and dissolved, etc.? So Ez, do you want to quickly cover that one?
Yeah, I think that could probably be a good idea, as we often get confused ourselves. But there probably isn't enough for a sort of sole webinar on that content, but I could probably suggest sending you over to have a look at our sort of glossary of terms, which is part of our new online tool for new directors. So it won't cover all of the terms and abbreviations, but it's a good place to start, and the link to that tool is in the handout today.
Brilliant, thank you. Question 4 then we had was about people with significant control. So we covered that same webinar too. You mentioned the PSCs have to be registered if owning more than 25% of the shares. Does this mean a director with 25% exactly of the shares doesn't need to be registered? And I read somewhere that there has to be at least one PSC for each company. Is this correct? So do you want to quickly answer that one, Az?
Yeah, I think it's always a really popular question around people with significant control. It's quite a complex area of company law, but I'll probably best to just give a quick recap on the main points, really. So there are 5 conditions where you would be regarded as a PSC for your company. But the most common one is if you are someone who holds more than 25% of the company's shares. So that is more than 25. So if you hold exactly 25%, you would not qualify as a PSC. And the other conditions, the other 4 conditions are, you would be classed as a PSC if you are someone who has more than 25% of the voting rights for your company, or you're somebody who can appoint or remove the majority of directors, or you're someone who has what we say as significant influence or control over the company. So it's worth noting, as you said, Gary, that even if you don't have any PSCs for your company, you would still need to record this at Companies House and let us know. So again, there's lots more information on people with significant control, and it's worth having a read of that. And a link will be again in the handout today.
Brilliant, thanks. I think we've also got something on our YouTube channel as well covering PSCs, so that's worth looking at. Okay, last question on webinar 2. Tell us a little bit about our proof scheme. So proof stands for Protected Online Filing. This is a free service that lets you protect your company from unauthorized changes to your records. It prevents the filing of certain paper forms, including changes to your registered office address, changes to your offices, changes to your confirmation statement. So once you've actually logged into your account, your company account, select the Join Proof link, which is at the top of the screen, agree to the terms and conditions, select Protect This Company. We will then send you an email to let you know that you've been successful. And then after that, we'll only accept electronic filings, and any paper forms will be returned to the registered address. So that's our proof service. Okay, so in the 3rd and 4th webinars, we were joined by colleagues from the Insolvency Service and the IPO. Quick question, the Insolvency Service, they're not with us this morning. So one of the questions we had from the Insolvency Service was, does an insolvent company have to stop trading? And the answer we have from the Insolvency Service is, an insolvent company doesn't necessarily have to cease trading, but it does require positive action from its directors. Those actions may allow the company to continue to trade. The first thing we'd recommend is to seek professional advice. Appropriate advice to your personal situation could come from a number of sources, such as citizens' advice, an authorised insolvency practitioner, a solicitor, a qualified accountant, a reputable financial advisor, or from the Debt Advice Centre. And you can also get some advice from the charity business Debtline at businessdebtline.org. Then from the IPO, we had an overview of what IP is. Basically the common question that overlaps between the IPO and Companies House is the question about company names and trademarks, which Stephanie and Claire covered earlier. So another question we had there is, do you have to be a company to apply for IP? And the answer there is no. Anybody can apply for IP, intellectual property, as an individual or a company, but then the owner of the IP who is whoever's on the application form, so be it the company or the individual, so think carefully before you apply. Okay, so keep those questions coming in for us. We're just rounding up now. Just to mention, as mentioned a few times, our online tool. Our online tool is completely free. It will take you through the responsibilities of being a director, how to file your confirmation statement, how to file your accounts, what records you need to keep and where to keep them, how to make changes and what PSCs are. And also at the end, there's a quiz so you can test your knowledge as to what you've learned during that online tool. It takes around 25 minutes to complete. And it links then to useful sections of the Companies House website and also to the how-to videos on our YouTube channel. So please have a go at that. The link's in the handout, and we'd be grateful for any feedback on that as well. Just email updates. We've mentioned this over the series, but it really is worth signing up to our email updates so we can keep you informed of any changes and the latest news from Companies House. Now, this is a separate service to the email reminder service that lets you know when your filings are due, and it's quick and easy to sign up for. Now, mentioning our mentioning our email reminder service, make sure you sign up for them because then you're notified when your filings are due. So it's really worth doing that. You can choose up to 4 email addresses. So make sure you don't miss those important deadlines. And as mentioned a couple of times as well, we also have our Director's Toolkit, which is going to answer a lot of the questions that you have. Now, we've had loads of questions in today, so we're going to just leave the webinar open for just a couple of minutes while we finish to answering then. So thank you very much for joining us. Now, if we don't get around to your question, we will get back to you in the next day or so with the answer. Please download the handouts, which are on the tool panel. But if you don't, then you can always ask for them, dropping us a mail at webinars@companieshouse.gov.uk. Just a reminder, we'll send you a link to the recording of the webinar in the next couple of days or so. Well, actually, it goes out in 24 hours, so you can see it then. And we're also going to upload it onto our video library and also our YouTube channel, so you can watch it again there. I'll just make a quick request for our user research panel. We're always looking for people who can help us to test and refine our services. So if you have a bit of free time and you want to help us develop and improve our online services, again, drop me a line at webinars@companieshouse.gov.uk and I'll send you the relevant link. So that's really it for now. Right after this, we finish now, you'll be sent a short survey. Again, we'd be really grateful if you could complete that and send it in to us. If there's another subject you want us to cover, please let us know, as we'll probably be doing another series of bite-sized webinars in the autumn. So if there's a subject you want us to cover, let us know in that survey there. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you to Stephanie and Claire at the Business Support Helpline, all our colleagues in the background who are answering the questions, Esme, who's answered the questions with me today. So that's goodbye, and we'll see you hopefully on the next one. So thank you very much for listening.